Hi everyone. I am It's Banana Pancake from Twitch, but you can call me Nanners. And today I'm going to do a Staying Safe on Twitch in 2021 Cybersecurity Best Practices for Streamers lecture. And I presented this on stream, but I'm re-recording it for YouTube so that all of you can enjoy it as well. So, first and foremost, I want to say why. I'm sure you're asking why. So why should you listen to me? Well, I have several years experience in cybersecurity, and I've seen a lot go down. I've seen massive breaches of data, ransomware, and honestly, I see a lot of people just clicking on phishing links and creating chaos for their companies. But I'm also a streamer, so I have seen what's going on Twitch. I understand the nerves around streaming right now and wondering when a hate raid or a spam bot is going to hit my channel. And then there's also the 5 years of viewership that I've had, and I've seen the trends over time in the safety of streamers and how they become targeted. The other question here is, why should I care? Why should you care about cybersecurity in the realm of Twitch? So there's real world ramifications to what we do, not only on Twitch, but like social media, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever it may be. And we do exist in a bubble. It feels very much like a bubble. Twitch, you have your community. There's just a certain culture to Twitch. However, the reality is that anyone with internet access can get to us and our content. Anyone with internet can type in twitch.com, Twitch TV, and start clicking around, and they can view all of your VODs, all of your clips. They can click on the links that you have to your social media. Like, we make ourselves very accessible for those that want to watch Twitch, but we're also making ourselves accessible for literally anybody on the internet. All right, so the state of Twitch right now, we've got the hate raids, which we're all unfortunately quite familiar with. There are also the follow bots, the spam bots, whatever the bots are up to. We have stalkers and harassers. Those are a little more rare, but they do exist. And all it takes is one person to be in this behavior for things to get really crazy for you. There's also the doxers, which are not as common anymore either, and swatters, which were really big when I first started watching Twitch. They are thankfully less common now, but as I just said, it only takes one person to just create absolute chaos for you. So, how can streamers protect themselves? Well, I broke this down into 4 categories, and we'll go into them a little bit deeper when we look at the other slides. So we have set up dedicated accounts, enable safeguards, protect your identity, and then also use Twitch's new built-in protections. And those just came out recently, so I'll show them to you all. All right, as far as setting up dedicated accounts goes, my first recommendation is create an email that's solely for Twitch. Don't use your real name. Gmail is fine about this. Like, see how I have the gingerbread man, you can't catch me at gmail.com. You can register like that. They're not going to stop you. And this is going to protect you a little bit. Once you create this email, use this email to register for everything stream related, whether it's Twitch itself, whether you're creating like a Streamlabs account or a Nightbot account, whatever it may be, Instagram, Twitter, everything. Make sure that you use that email, that it's creating basically a separate entity just for streaming from your personal life. And also, most importantly, direct business inquiries to this address. This means that you're going to want to be checking this. You can't just like create this and throw it away. There may be some valuable emails that come into that email address. Banking, this is more personal in my opinion, but I do want to throw this out there because I have taken these based on the suggestions of a streamer friend that has grown much larger than my stream currently is, and it's a mix of what they learned as they grew, but also what they wish they had just done up front. So set up a dedicated PayPal. It's free. You can do a personal or a business account. There are pros and cons to that. I highly recommend looking into it. But make sure that you use that email address that we just made, that dedicated email address, to sign up for this PayPal. And this is another step. You can open a separate bank account. This is sometimes free. I was able to open a free bank account. I don't know if that's true for everybody, but I went and opened it a separate bank. Like, I completely separated my personal finances from my streaming finances. And there's also the option to consider creating an LLC. This is really if you are scaling up as a streamer, or that's something that maybe you just want to do up front. And the idea mostly behind an LLC is that LLCs mitigate risks by transferring all of it to your business entity. So if you were on the horrible off chance to be sued by, say, someone who didn't like what you said about them or what you said in a stream, and that somehow defamed them and, you know, their identity or just how other people perceive them, then if you had an LLC, only your business assets would be at risk. Without an LLC, if you're sued, like, you and any of your property, like a home, a car, or any dependents, like if you live with your family, would be at risk. So while this is rare, people are unpredictable. And then when I say your business assets, that's like your stream bank account, your computer, like very minimal things that you have dedicated solely to streaming. Okay, and next, enable safeguards. So a lot of apps now have multi-factor authentication. It's also known as MFA. If you see MFA anywhere, that's exactly what it's referring to. And what MFA does is it creates a line of defense. So you have your password for your account. Well, if someone gets that password, then they can get into your account. But if you enable MFA, then they have to know your password, and then they have to have access to your phone, your email, you know, your fingerprint, a key, whatever it may be. So it makes it a lot harder. And I see this all the time in my work in cybersecurity. A lot of people will figure out passwords from account leaks. And these are unfortunately very common. And account leak is basically when a company that gets breached and all of their user data gets leaked. And this can get sold on the dark web. This may eventually be released publicly to anyone that wants to access it. And so people are going to go in there and they're going to grab your username and your email and your password, and they're just going to start hammering at it. And they're going to start hammering at all these accounts. Well, if you don't have MFA set up and you haven't changed your password, then they have free reign into your account. And you may or may not get notified if there's been a new login in a different place or just a new login period into your account. And if you don't, then you have no idea that someone is in your account, and they can easily just take it over and go crazy with it. And also they're going to find out a bunch of personal information that might be stored in that account, like your phone number, your address, your full name, things like that. So with MFA, you can actually set this up through Twitch. And you go into your settings, and then you're going to want to go over to the security and privacy tab. It's in the purple in this first picture. And then you're going to go to two-factor authentication. So two-factor authentication is kind of like multi-factor. And, you know, it says here that it's an extra layer of security. This gives you the option to enter a security code generated by an authenticator app or send it to you as a text message. I personally recommend using the authenticator app because it separates your phone number from this authentication, because there's a couple things here. Your phone number can inadvertently be leaked through this, and it can also easily be spoofed. But if you have the app set up, you actually have to go into the app and either retrieve the code or press a button. So highly recommend setting this up. I'm not saying that SMS is bad. It's definitely better than nothing. And I want to make sure that that distinction is there. And then the other kind of big point here is to use strong passwords. And people are like, really? We're this far into this and we're still trying to remind people to use strong passwords? Yes, because the concept of what a strong password is constantly evolving. as the technology behind brute forcing passwords, figuring out passwords is emerging. A big reminder, never use the same password twice. If, like I mentioned earlier, if your account with a password is leaked in a data breach and someone starts hammering on all of your email accounts possible with that password, if you reuse it, they're just going to gain access to more and more and more, and they're just going to establish a foothold into your identity, find out more about you, use your account to do evil. Goodness knows what they can get into. The idea here is to never let people in. And coming from the never use the same password twice, well, immediately people are like, well, how am I supposed to remember all these passwords? You don't have to remember your passwords anymore. You can use a password management app. One of the best ones right now is Bitwarden. There's also KeePass, OnePass, LastPass. There are so many options. Some of them have like an unpaid tier. Some of them you have to pay for. It just depends on which one you use and which one you want, but I highly recommend starting with these three and then digging around more on your own. And the nice thing about this is that it's a universal account. So for example, I have LastPass on my computer, but I also have it on my phone. So if I need to log into apps or like I'm out doing something and I created a username and an account while I was on my PC and saved it in that LastPass, if I need to be on the go and log in, then I can just use my password manager app, pull up that information and run it through. And they also have a lot of autofill options. So you just get to the web page and it recognizes it and it asks if you want to fill it in. So you don't even have to like copy and paste or write it down or do anything. It's really seamless in my opinion. Okay, so this slide, protect your identity. I understand here that a lot of protecting your identity also can detract from kind of growing and building your personality and making you different. What makes you different? Well, a lot of these things that are listed here do. However, there's a lot of more general things like what are your hobbies that you can use to define you instead of your name, like your real name, your location, your occupation, or your marital status. Okay, so why do we want to choose carefully when revealing personal information? Your name, and I understand that there's may come a time in your channel growth that revealing your real name will become impossible. But for now, for starters, let's play it safe. I go by a nickname. Like I introduced myself at the beginning of the presentation. I said, hi, I'm It's Banana Pancake, but you can call me Nanners. Everyone calls me Nanners. That's all they need to know. That is distinct in itself. And a lot of streamers have nicknames. They just kind of develop. I also see a lot of people that have their real names on there, and that's fine. It's just a personal choice, and I'll explain like why I personally don't have it in a minute. Location. I know you kind of want to like be at least regional, or if you're in the US, you want to like kind of like pick your state that you live in. I wouldn't go much deeper than that unless you live in like New York City, because that's really hard to find people. But just be careful, especially with street signs and photos. And this is something that we don't really think about when we're out and living. But street signs really, really pinpoint your location, or at least a place that you frequented. Occupation, I mean, like I have admitted here that I work in cybersecurity. However, you don't know anything beyond that. That's all you need to know, in my opinion. And then marital status, this one is tricky because people can change their behavior towards you. And I'll explain a little bit later the other reason for it. So I want to talk kind of about marital status. There have been some particularly large female streamers that have done really well, very successful on Twitch. And then when they post something about their significant other, people have just gone into a tizzy. And this is a really good way to set people off, especially people that think they have some sort of ownership over you because they, you know, donate, they give you bits, they give you subs, whatever it may be. And you just want to be careful. I'm not saying hide your life, but just think tactfully about what you're revealing about yourself. And The other thing is to choose carefully when to reveal that information, because if you're adding location tags to posts, that's going to tell people where you are and what you're up to and places that you go. Travel is one thing. You still want to be careful though, especially when posting to Instagram stories, Snapchat, etc. in real time, because that's giving someone your literal location when you are there. Like say you sit down at a restaurant and you are out on like a nice patio and you take a cute photo. Well, someone might know where that is. Someone might be able to look that up. They're like, well, I know that they were on vacation in, say, Vancouver, and they posted the seawall earlier, and that was only like 45 minutes to an hour ago, so they're probably up in that area, and then they just posted they're at a cafe. Well, I'm going to start looking at the cafes. They might be able to figure it out if they don't already know what it is. And imagine sitting down at a meal, taking a photo, and then during your meal, someone approaches you or someone's watching you. It is very real that this can happen, and it doesn't feel like it because, like I said earlier, we're in this protective bubble on Twitch, but we're putting information out there. We're putting a lot of information out there for anybody to digest. And a big one, which kind of ties into marital status before, is showing friends or family. So you might have your account and your social media is locked down like Fort Knox. However, if you start showing friends or family or referring to their names, people can just go hunt down their profiles and they might be aware, or they might just, have a very visible profile, a public profile, and there's photos of you with them in there and you're tagged in there. Maybe your personal Instagram account is tagged in there or referenced to. There's your real name in there. You can see your parents, like maybe where you grew up, what you do on the weekends. Like they can give away a lot of information, and essentially showing your friends and family and having their accounts helps people completely circumvent everything that you've set up to protect yourself. And so really, why is this so important? Why should we not divulge this information? Because of a concept called social engineering. According to Wikipedia, which is, hey, it's legit now, social engineering is the psychological manipulation of people into performing actions or divulging confidential information. Essentially, given enough pieces of your life, someone can pretend to be you, want to know you, etc. And it's going to compromise your identity. People can also social engineer your phone number, ask enough questions, try a few canceled passwords, or like say forgot password, and it's like, all right, well, we're going to send this text message to verify that you can log in, and you know how it'll show like the last 4 digits of your phone number? Well, that's 4 more digits than they had 5 minutes ago. And from there, they can start kind of building around you. Okay, so make sure that you're utilizing Twitch's tools. They just add this feature in. But first and foremost, let's talk about recruiting good mods. We want to have mods that are proactive. I understand that, and I am also a mod in some of my friends' streams. I'll be there, but I'll lurk. While it's nice that my presence is there, I'm not there 100% of the time, so make sure that you have some overlap, that you have at least a few mods that can show up every stream, and they're going to be there to protect you, because sometimes you can't protect yourself fast enough, as much as a mod who is literally there with all the controls to do so. Make sure that your mods understand your guidelines and your vision. Make sure that what you find offensive, they understand, and they also find it offensive to you. You don't want to have someone that's like trigger happy with banning, because then that creates issues. But you also don't want to have something really crappy like just be left unmodded in your stream, be like, hey, can you please take that down? I mean, sometimes I do ask my mods, I'm like, hey, looks like something's happening, hey. But sometimes my mods are right on top of it. And streamer recommendation, practice least privilege. So least privilege is the concept that you don't give someone more than the permissions and privileges that they need to perform their duties. So, for example, if you are just a mod, why would mods be able to, what's a good example? Why would mods be able to end your stream? Like, that would be crazy, right? I'm not saying that that's a feature, but the idea is that you would say, nope, mods aren't allowed to end the stream. I am the only one that's allowed to end my stream. Mods can change the stream title. Mods can ban people. Mods can time people out. Whatever it may be that you need the mods to do, use that. And this should also carry over into Discord, which we'll discuss next. Okay, and then I also recommend using Twitch's new chat verification, which we see here on the right. This is a screenshot from how I have it set up. As my viewers called it the other night, I have it set up like Fort Knox because I have email verification. All chatters must have a verified email. And I also have it set up for phone verification that all chatters must have a verified phone number. The only exemption, as you can see down below the gray box, is that there are verifications for subscribers, VIPs, and then I have it selected for moderators. I trust those people. However, in theory, if you wanted this to be even tighter, you could unselect that, because if a moderator's account were to be compromised and someone had access to completely destroy my stream, they could do so. As you can see, there are several options. You can just do some chatters must have a verified email or phone number, and then you can break it down into like first-time chatters or chatters without a verified email must have accounts older than XYZ. Chatters without a verified email must have followed for more than XYZ. There's several options here, and you can set this up however you feel comfortable. I just recommend setting this up in some capacity. Okay, and then Discord, because Discord hate raids have unfortunately become a thing as well. So with Discord, what you want to do first and foremost is create barriers to entry. So there are a couple options here. What I particularly use is funneling new users to roles and channels. So in my Discord, when you join, you are given a role that is separate. It's not the default. It immediately puts you into this other category. And you are only allowed to see like the introduction page, the new rules, things like that. Nothing of any sort of chat going on or our voice channels, anything where photos or just anything's being posted. You are stuck in the introductory channels. And it's not until I or a mod go in and physically change your role to the general role where you have access to everything that you are allowed to do so. So I could be streaming and someone could join my Discord. I might not see until the end of stream, which, you know, sucks, but at the end of the stream, I can go through and be like, I know this person, and you can let them in. Other than that, they would just be stuck, not being able to do much of anything at all. There's also some streamers who prefer to do the require interaction for access. So you would come in and it's like immediately takes you to the rules, and the rules say, please react once you've read the rules to have access to the Discord. So there is physical action that's required, and I don't think the bots are smart enough to do that yet. So once you add your reaction, it's going to send you through and it automatically assigns you a role. So there's a couple of different options there, but I recommend having something because I've heard some really bad stories recently. And once again, least privilege, delegate use of @everyone, which is how you tag literally everybody in the Discord, to mods only. No one else needs to have the privilege to do this. Honestly, I would even maybe only set it up so that you can do it. And the reason I recommend this is because I'm sure we all know @everyone, when it is abused, it is horrendously annoying. And it also, someone, if like just say a generic user came in and did @everyone and they posted a bunch of hateful speech or a bunch of horrible images, very violent, whatever kind of images, racism, sexism, whatever people are up to these days, it's so easy for them to just @everyone and post these things. And of course, it's going to grab everybody's attention. So you want to keep that in mind. You want to keep that out of their hands. Okay, so this is my Q&A slide, which I don't think we can have Q&A live on YouTube. However, please feel free to ask any questions in the comments. I am happy to answer them. The whole reason I did this is because I want to share what I have learned through my years of cybersecurity experience, but also my time streaming. And I feel like a lot of this information can be very confusing and overwhelming for those that are not so much technically inclined with this kind of activity. I do hope that it has helped. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you all so much.